Mia Khalifa was recently, I guess, Emily Ratatouille, as we'll call her. She has Emily Ratajkowski. She has like a podcast, had Mia Khalifa on as a guest. Mia Khalifa, no stranger to controversy. She had this recent take, and I wanted to react to it. I have my take, but we'll have the girls react to it first. Eric, go ahead.
Any guy who goes after a girl significantly younger than them is severely lacking in their life. And I mean that confidence-wise. I mean, like, they are falling short in so many places that is the only place they can turn to feel like they have something on the scale of power.
And ultimately it's predatory. I mean, there's just no way to kind of, because you're manipulating someone who is not aware of what they're giving you. Yeah. And it's unfair.
Your reaction? Agree, disagree, thoughts?
I kind of agree. I don't feel like it's very weird if like a 30-year-old who's like in their young 30s is dating someone in their like mid-young 20s. Like, actually no. If they're dating in mid-20s, I think that's fine. If they're dating young 20s, I think it's a bit weird because there's so much development in your ears until you're like 25. So I personally think it's a little bit odd, but I don't necessarily think it means you're failing in life.
I think it's based off maturity. I feel like if an older man is going after a younger girl, I don't think it's about a dominance thing or manipulation thing. I think it's honestly a sexual attraction. I think young women look good.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay to like a young woman and because she's hot, and I get that. But I mean, there is a line to that. There is some perverts out there, so watch out for them ladies. But I don't think that's always the case.
Okay.
I mean, personally, I would never date someone that's over 10 years, fucking like 5 years.
Yeah.
5 years older than me. I don't feel comfortable with that. I think, one, there will be a disconnect. Two, it is a little creepy, especially given my age. I was literally a minor like a year and a half ago, so it's pretty close to the edge. I mean, I would say
a year and a half ago. So you're 19 and a half.
Yeah.
Pretty close. I mean, okay, you're an adult.
Yeah.
So it's not pretty close to, you're an adult.
Yes, I'm an adult, but it's still like I would not feel comfortable doing that. I also think that men, I mean, this goes for younger men going for younger women, like a senior going for a freshman, or a 25-year-old going for a high school student. Ooh. Why can you?
Whoa, hold on. Okay, we're talking about adult relationships. We're not.
So 18.
Yeah,
plus.
but she'd be 18.
Yeah.
It's still, yes, I'm aware. But what I'm trying to say is that I could get it under some circumstances, but it's also like, why does he need to go for younger women? Can he get older women? I feel like a lot of guys who go for younger women just can't get women their age, and that's a red flag to me, unless it is genuinely just a sexual preference and you just like younger girls.
Well, just on that point, I would argue that actually for a guy, say in his early 30s or whatever, to be dating a woman who's say 19, 20 or 21, he actually has to be much more attractive to get a woman that young than to be dating a woman his age.
I mean, yes and no. I think it's more about being attractive. I think it's about that success. And when you're younger, it's kind of cool to be like, yeah, my boyfriend's older, and yeah, my boyfriend's a big time lawyer and he does all this shit. And you have to be older to do a lot of those things. So maybe he has to be super attractive, but I don't think it's just about that.
Well, I mean, attractive, it could be physically attractive, it could be status, it could be personality, it could be finances, but sorry guys, I lost my train of thought.
Okay, it happens to me too.
I feel like, I don't know, it's just, I personally wouldn't date anyone probably over 27 maybe, and I'm 19. I just turned 19, so that's just my personal preference. I don't want a guy who's like super overly like mature than me and has so much life experience that like I feel inferior.
Yeah.
Like I want to be able to grow with the person I'm with, not feel like I'm like bringing them back to their younger age. Like I don't want to feel like that.
My parents are 22 years apart. My dad's 22 years older than my mom, so I always am on the side of it's not predatory because
Yeah.
I don't believe my dad's a predator.
Yeah.
So.
I can
Do
see
you
that
wanna-
too because my parents are 10 years apart, like to the day. But at the same time, I do see some tendencies with guys where it is more predatory rather than like, because like how she said, like, why aren't they dating people their own age? And like, yeah, okay, maybe it is sexual and like that makes sense. But at the same time, like, I do see some guys only wanting to date younger women so they feel like Mia said, that like have some power over them or kind of be a little controlling.
Yeah, and if like that's the motive, then that's not good.
Yeah, no, definitely
Yeah,
not.
okay. There's always going to be cases where like men are predatory, they prey on your girls. But what Mia
Yeah.
Khalifa said was any guy who
I don't
goes
think-
for a
yeah.
woman significantly younger is predatory.
No.
My mom is objectively significantly younger than my dad.
Same.
My dad is not a predator. My dad loves my mom, and they just fell in love, and we're
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I
compatible.
mean,
Yeah.
like, would we say it's weird if an older woman was going for a younger guy?
That
Good
happens
point.
all the
Yeah.
time.
Good
San
point.
Diego,
Yeah.
huge.
Exactly.
Like there's so many guys out there that go to this certain club that have these
Cougars.
milfs out there.
Women.
Is that right?
Cougars.
Yeah, and yeah, they love it. They loved it, and the girls love it too. They're all about it. So I mean, like again, maturity, preference. I think sexual,
There's a lot of
whatever you are.
factors.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it is interesting that she left out men there. She said it's men who go after young women. That's predatory. She didn't. There was no caveat like, oh, also women too. So there
Yeah.
there does seem to be a bit of a double standard there.
Well, I mean, it was
But-
a 20-second clip. I would like to see more of what they
Into
were
the mic.
saying.
Into the mic.
Oh, sorry. It was a 20-second clip. I mean, that was kind of just like a little sound bite.
Yeah,
you
who
could do
knows?
whatever you want with it. I'd like to actually watch the full thing and then I judge it. But yeah,
Yeah, maybe there's more context. Unfortunately, that was all that was available.
To you.
It was on like their podcast isn't on. The whole video wasn't released yet. It was just they released
Yeah,
these
just like little
snippets like
clips.
previews or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but I'm gonna assume that's most of the conversation around that. But yeah, certainly perhaps they did add some additional caveats or whatever. But also just to clarify, I didn't mean to. I wasn't trying to like convince you that you were wrong for having a preference. You're totally free to have your preference of, hey, I'd rather date someone,
Yeah.
within 5 years of me. That's
Yeah.
totally fine. I was just more wanted clarification on why you think it's creepy.
that's my preference. Like, I would feel creepy.
Okay.
I'm not saying everyone else. I
Sure,
don't think it's
okay.
creepy. Like, I would be creeped the fuck out.
Okay.
Yeah. Like if a 19-year-old wants to date a 40-year-old and like as long as all of
go
it's
right ahead. It's all
consensual,
safe
it's
and,
safe,
yeah.
then go for it. Like, I mean, sometimes I don't even think that it's always guys going for girls. Like, I think that tends to be the case. But I mean, some girls do prefer older guys who have their life together.
Yeah, I have a close friend of mine who actively goes out of her way to like date men who are in their 40s.
Yeah.
I'm not
And
gonna
she's,
lie.
like in her young 20s.
Yeah, when I just like right shortly after I turned 18, I tried to pursue a guy that was like 28, 29. And like that was me trying to be with him. And then like it worked out.
Mm.
And yeah, so I don't know. It's
Yeah.
not always the guy pursuing the younger girl.
Good point. Good point.
Just being honest.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what I was going to go for. I'm kind of actually surprised by a lot of the answers because you often get quite a bit of pushback on this one, but there's some pretty good answers there. Okay, so
Losing your train of thought?
a little bit. No, so I would say yes. Generally, men are attracted to younger women for a myriad of reasons. Me personally, most of the women I date are around my age range. I'd say 25 to 33. I've dated I dated a 45-year-old. So I mean, I'm open, but generally speaking, in terms of the women that I would say I find the most physically attractive, 18 to 25. And they've done studies on this. Men all the way from age 18 to 65, they survey them. They say, what demographic of women in terms of age do you find most physically attractive? And it's usually it's between the age of 18 and like 22, 23. So
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Well, I'm getting
you don't look happy with that one.
Oh, no, I don't.
Oh, you're just reading the chat.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
you're
mean, like,
spacing out.
if we think about it, like,
stopped like a few minutes ago.
historically, like, it kind of, like, follows a pattern. Because, like, historically, like, 30, 40-year-old men were marrying 14-year-old girls.
Yeah, literally.
So, like, not saying that that should be a thing. It should definitely be two adults consenting into a relationship or whatever they're doing. But, like, historically, it kind of makes sense why men tend to be attracted to younger women.
Eric, don't show that.
Oh. But, yeah, like, it makes sense historically, like, why that pattern would continue to follow through. But I personally, my own preference, like, I wouldn't date anyone who's much, much older than me.
Word? Word?
Period.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, you were on the panel last time when, I mean, most of the show, I think we were debating about that.
It spiraled, in a word. You could, like,
Really?
call it that.
Wait, what,
Yeah.
like,
We
what?
took a jump from, like, the jump went from, like,
Adult relationships
first
to
yeah.
P
Oh.
words.
Yeah.
No,
Like-
pedophilia is
The
not
jump
okay.
went to.
Yeah.
But it was like, and then it was a whole, like, how is this the same thing?
Mhm.
Like, I brought up the same point about my parents.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how's that, like, the same thing? Like, yeah. And then
People just
watch
don't
the
know.
episode. It's a good one. Everyone just go watch it.
Yeah, people just, I don't know. It's a mess. But yeah, I mean, in the clip they say, hey, that's predatory. That's what was it? He doesn't have his life to, I don't know, what did she say?
Like, yeah, he doesn't, there's something wrong with him that he needs to have power over something in his life.
And that
I
could
think
be
that
true.
could
That
be very
could
true,
be true.
but I don't think it's always true.
Do you think Leonardo DiCaprio has something wrong with
Yeah.
him?
Nope.
I think it's weird to,
It's
like,
fucking Chad.
if you're spending so much time with a woman and, like, you're
What's up? Come on. What do you think? What's with the faces?
Nothing. No, it's just I'm just thinking right now. Like,
What are you thinking? Tell me what you're thinking.
I mean, it's just an interesting age range that you have.
Yeah.
No, just us.
Oh.
And that, like, we're all very, very young. No, this is not about you, like, being creepy or anything.
Wait, what?
No, I'm just saying, like, we're all very young. Like, it's just interesting that you don't have other women on this podcast that are, like, 30s, and maybe they could have a
I'm
more
26.
insightful.
She's
Yeah,
26.
you're
He's
26, but, like, he's had.
I've
been on.
I've
Wait,
had-
how old are you again?
I'm 21, but I've been on
Okay,
panels
I'm 21.
before that.
21, 19, 26, 19. I mean, look, Santa Barbara's a college town.
Yeah.
There's much more college students than there are, I would say,
Older.
professional.
Yeah.
It just happens to be the case that most of the people that end up on the show probably do skew a bit like college age. But I mean, we had I think the oldest probably women in her 40s. We've had.
The last episode,
We
didn't
had-
you have a bunch of 30-year-olds? No?
Were you on that one?
No, not on Tuesday.
I mean, it
or no?
varies. Like we'll have, Tuesday. What did we?
Because I feel like I started watching it and everyone started saying that they were, like, older.
I mean, yeah, we
Yeah.
get a variety, but sometimes we'll
Yeah.
have like, let me see, who
Well,
did we
'cause,
have?
yeah, it's a college city. Like,
Okay, well, we had a mom on who was like who was 33. We had a 35-year-old.
yeah.
We had a 23, and a 19-year-old. Before that, we had a 28-year-old, that was the one you were on. Loey was 28, I think.
27.
I mean, yeah, so
I mean, maybe it's just the ones that I've watched, but
I'd say, yeah, it
They
skews,
vary.
it skews,
Yeah.
It
a
skews,
little
yeah.
younger, but
no, I was just thinking, like,
it's a college town.
I don't know. I know. I'm just saying, like, maybe a better take. Not like me. What's the word? Trying to give you advice. I was just like, oh, like if I was older, maybe I would have something better to say about this with my experience in life. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, fair enough. But yeah, no, I mean, like, ultimately, one of the reasons, or probably one of the big reasons that men prefer young women, it's just hardwired attraction traits. It's rooted in biology, evolutionary. Young women are more capable of bringing a pregnancy to term, so they're more likely to get pregnant. They're more likely.
Believe that.
She's fertile, apparently. Once you hit 35, you're getting into geriatric pregnancy territory, much more likely for birth defects.
Wait, which age?
35 and
okay,
up.
okay.
Yeah, 35 and up, much more likely to have birth defects, much more likely to have difficulty actually getting pregnant.
You can get tested and check how likely.
But
I
yeah,
mean-
like around the age of
I mean,
35,
but yeah, after
like
35,
your
you're pretty much
ability
fucked.
to get pregnant and have a healthy pregnancy does
Yeah.
lower significantly.
It's declining.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's a greater likelihood of miscarriage. So men, for evolutionary reasons, have found youth to be a attraction trigger, and
you're
youth,
attracted to
young,
fertility.
attraction to fertility. So
Not saying you should go for.
no, not.
Yeah.
when,
Leave the high schoolers alone.
when I say youth, I mean young women.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I mean women also have biological evolutionary attraction triggers for men.